Blessings and welcome to Eartheart Radio. Finally beginning to awaken from the illusion of separateness and broadcasting live from the KSKQ studios in beautiful Ashland, Oregon. Here's your host, Shankara Das.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon wherever you may be listening. It is Sunday. It's a beautiful day here in the Rogue Valley of Southern Oregon. And before I say anything else, I just want to say thank you so much to the hundreds of people on Facebook that sent prayers out to my sister, Christy, in Omaha, Nebraska. She was in the hospital for a few days, and all I can say is hundreds of people said they were sending prayers, and she's home now and doing much better, so I just think I owe everyone a thank you. So thank you, and Christy, it's so awesome that you're back home again, and I love you. My friends, you probably wonder, if you know me, why I'm using the name Shankara Das. If you don't know me, you're wondering why I'm even making this announcement. Well, the deal is, I go by the name Derek Moody most of the time, but, years ago, one of my teachers gave me a name of Shankara Das, which means servant of Shiva or lover of God, basically. And when I go to a temple, I usually use that name. Kind of like when I go to a temple, I take my shoes off. It's a purification sort of thing. So Shankara is like a spiritual temple name I was given by one of my teachers years ago, and I do use it when I come to Eartheart Radio because this is my church. It's not a religion. It's just a place I go, and hopefully you'll be coming every Sunday to have a good time, to unwind, to maybe learn something, and believe it or not, a religion to me is nothing but love, and spirituality is nothing but love. So thanks to everyone listening. I just heard from Doug Shields. Hey, what's up, my friend? Laura Rogers, thanks for sharing our post on Facebook for Eartheart Radio. Of course, Don and Arthur and my sister Christy are tuned in. What is going on, my friends? Lead me from the unreal to the real. Yeah, I'm so happy. We've got some cool stuff today on Eartheart Radio. Positive news at the end of the show, which is how we always leave you, so you have something uplifting when you turn the show off. Also, thanks to Brenda, my friend Brenda in Phoenix. Kind of random. I just remembered Brenda Roche is listening, and she's one of the bigger supporters of Eartheart Radio. Thanks for your reviews each week and for helping me build my confidence. I'm used to doing rock radio, and this is my third Eartheart Radio show. We have Sitaram Das joining us on the telephones probably in about 15 minutes. He is an awesome person who you'll hear more about very shortly, Sita Ramdas. Also, we are going to spotlight another great saint, which is something I do every week on the show. There are all kinds of people in the world, and when I was little, I used to always hear things like, look for the helpers, or look for the angels, or, and people that were always helping other people, things like that. So I like to spotlight a different saint each week, just because I think it's pretty darn interesting.
Saints, angels, avatars, sages, yogis, holy men, medicine women, helpers, elders, revolutionaries, and advocates of love. Today we honor and show love, respect, and gratitude.
Showing respect and gratitude to the beloved saints. That's what we're doing today. And today I'm really happy to be paying tribute to somebody that I have read many books about, that I have sent many prayers to, and somebody that I really, really think you might find interesting. He was born in around the year 1900, and his name was Neem Karoli Baba. Neem Karoli Baba. He was known to his followers as Maharaji. He was a Hindu guru, mystic, and a devotee of the Hindu deity Hanuman. He is known outside India for having been the guru of a number of Americans who traveled to India in the 1960s and 70s, the most well-known being the spiritual teachers known as Ram Das and Bhagavan Das, also Krishna Das, Jayutal. Neem Karoli Baba became a wandering sadhu. He later returned home at his father's request to marry. He did father 2 sons and 1 daughter, and then he became a wandering holy man once again. One of his devotees, known as Anjani, shared the following account about Neem Karoli Baba. There can be no biography of him. Facts are few, stories many. He seems to have been known by different names in many parts of India, appearing and disappearing throughout the years. He gave no discourses, The briefest, simplest stories were his teachings. Usually he sat or lay on a wooden bench, wrapped in a plaid blanket, while devotees sat around him. Visitors came and went. They were given food, a few words, a nod, a pat on the head or on the back, and they were sent away. There was laughter because he liked to joke. Order for running ashram temple were usually given in a piercing yell across the compound. So when he gave orders, it wasn't in a meek way. He made his voice heard. Sometimes he sat in silence, absorbed in another world to which we could not follow, but bliss and peace poured down on us. Who he was no more than the experience of him, the nectar of his presence, the totality of his absence, enveloping us now like his plaid blanket. Neem Karoli Baba was a lifelong adept of bhakti yoga, and he encouraged service to others, which is known as seva, as the highest form of unconditional devotion to God. When Neem Karoli Baba departed this material world on September the 11th, 1973, they had taken him to the emergency room at the hospital. He was given injections and an oxygen mask was put over his face. The hospital staff said he was in a diabetic coma, but his pulse was completely normal. Maharaji pulled the oxygen mask off his face, and he pulled the blood pressure measuring band from his arm, saying they were useless. Maharaji asked for Ganga water. He was given regular water because the other wasn't available, and he then repeated several times, Jaya Jagadish Hare, Jaya Jagadish Hare, Jaya Jagadish Hare, which means hail to the Lord of the universe. And he did it each time in a lower pitch. His face became very peaceful, all signs of pain disappeared, and he left the material world again. Long live Neem Karoli Baba, a.k.a. Maharaji. And we're going to hear more about him when we speak with Sitaram Das soon, who is going to be talking today about the path of love. Some of you are saying, oh, really? No, I know you're not. It's going to be a good one today. So thanks for being here at Eartheart Radio. I am Shankara Das, and I'd like to play a song by Krishna Das, and it's called Neem Karoli Baba, the Heart of Love.
Namaste from Eartheart Radio and KSKQ.
Che arpita hai विचारों में पुकारो तुम ही हो भाव में मेरे विचारों में पुकारो बना दे अंत अब मुझको मेरे सर्वत समर्पित है मेरे गुरुदेव चरणों पर सुमन श्रद्धा के अर्पित है चरणों पर सुमन श्रद्धा के अर्पित है तेरे ही दिन है जो है वही तुझको समर्पित है मेरे गुरुदेव चरणों पर सुमन श्रद्धा के अर्पित है
You're at KSKQ
Hi.
Radio. Whoa, let me
Got
get
us
rid of that.
both.
Hey, sorry. You are at KSKQ Radio at Eartheart Radio Show. And that, my friends, was Krishna Das with a beautiful song called Neem Karoli Baba, the Heart of Love. We will be speaking with Sitaram Das in just a couple of minutes. Thank you for tuning in to the third Eartheart Radio installment. I am Shankara, and support for KSKQ comes from our listeners and from the Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library. For over 15 years, Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library has been serving Southern Oregon with events and its library of books and videos to borrow or exchange. RVML is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, located at 1757 Ashland Street in Ashland. The website is rvml.org. That's Rogue Valley Metaphysical Library. KSKQ thanks RVML and listeners like you for supporting community radio. One thing I will say is I'm used to doing another radio show, which is on in the evenings, and I have a co-host, and she's very helpful, and I realized that I have to call Sitaram Das, and I can't do all these things at once, so I'm learning as I go. And I actually came in here real nervous today, which I don't ever get on radio. I've been in radio 20 years this year, and I'm not being egotistical. I'm just giving you some background information. And normally I'm pretty confident, but I'm not used to doing this show. And it's a lot different than playing rock and roll records, I can tell you that. I really think I enjoy it a whole lot, though. And I want to let you know I've got a lot of things coming up on the show. So if you're investing your 1 hour a week in me, I'm behind the scenes investing many more in you. Coming up next week on the show, we'll be discussing Tai Chi with Jean Burnett, a local Ashland resident. Also, the week after that, we've got the legendary 60s icon and the Woodstock Music Festival announcer, Wavy Gravy. He'll be joining us. Also, the week after, Priestess Grail Corsini from the Ashland Goddess Temple. I have always wanted to have a discussion with her on the radio. The week after that, I'll be going to upstate New York for about a week, so we'll be taking a vacation day. When I return from New York, Giza X will be on the show talking about his experiences with DMT. Yeah, that's going to be fun. And then I also have Karen Parnell scheduled, and she works out of the Orinda Energy Arts Building in Medford, Oregon. She is a professional singing bowl practitioner, if that's what you want to call it. But I have been to her place many times for meditation, and I'm telling you, there's nothing like Karen Parnell. She's amazing, and I've asked her to bring her singing bowls here so that we could, experience that on the radio and maybe get something through the radio airwaves and see if we could get some people relaxed without even having to come to Southern Oregon, right? Let's go ahead and do what I have to do. I'm going to call Sitaram Das. Again, I don't have my co-host here. And thank you, by the way, to Sister Tracy, who is one of the producers of this show. She's listening right now, but she's not here to help me because I don't have help when I come on the show. So I'm actually dialing the phone as I'm being clever, trying to secretly call him while you think I'm just talking. Okay, here we go. Now I've got to put him on speaker. Okay, hang on, my friends. We're going to talk to Sita Ramdas. Hey, my brother, can I put you on the air immediately?
You can.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Sita Ramdas. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How you doing?
I'm good. I realized when I was calling, I'm like, I don't have anyone here to call him ahead of time, so I have to do it live, so I had to be all crafty.
Okay, well, here we are.
Yeah, I'm really appreciative because when I told you I was starting this show in the not too distant past, you expressed interest in coming on the show, and I couldn't wait to get you on here. So here we are, as you say, and thank you for making the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I think what you're doing here is really cool, and I'm excited that I get to be a part of it.
Well, when I initially sent you something from the show, you gave me some great confidence building words. You were really kind, and I appreciate that. You said some nice things that were pretty awesome, and it kind of really built up my self-esteem, so thanks.
Right on.
Where are you calling from today?
I live in Humboldt County, so Arcata, California.
Okay.
Well, actually, I recently moved, so I'm in Eureka, but same place, basically.
And what's the name of the yoga studio that's in your old town? I went there to see Bhagavan Das once, and you were there.
Yeah, Om Shala.
Okay, Om Shala
Yoga.
That's right. Okay, I was on the tip of my tongue there. Sitaram Das, before we start, I'd like to ask this initial question. What were you like before you got into the path you're on now, and before you got into the world of like love and heart and bhakti? What were you like before that?
Oh, that's a great question. I think my family and my old friends would probably say I'm the same, but in terms of my lifestyle is very different. I think you and I kind of share some things in terms of, maybe just being really prone to kind of excess. And I definitely, my late teens, early 20s, I mean, I was addicted to all sorts of things, definitely an alcoholic, definitely, mixing, painkillers, whatever I could get, cocaine, crack, I mean, like whatever. I mean, I was just so, I was searching, I was really searching for something that would give me fulfillment. And I also, I didn't like myself, and I didn't feel comfortable with myself. And so I was always looking for a way to escape. But, ultimately that same drive, to both find meaning and also to just feel okay in my own skin, in my own being, in my own mind, is really what led me to the spiritual path I'm on now. But I'm still just as neurotic and all of that. I'm just a little bit kinder to myself about it.
Yeah, I really do appreciate your honesty, by the way. I like that when people can just be completely transparent like that and, just tell the truth about what, you were, So now that I got an answer for that, my second question was, how did you first get introduced to Neem Karoli Baba, Ram Dass, that particular path of spirituality, those people?
Yeah, so I, like I said, I was around that time period, I was really searching for something, and I guess since we're on the honesty train, we'll just go with that. It was really trying psychedelics for the first time when I was, I think, 19. And, the first time was fun, I mean, like it often is for a lot of people, fun with friends. But something happened either the second or the third time, and something just got kicked up and triggered deep that I didn't have the words or the understanding for. Like, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that it felt more real. I didn't even have these words, but I knew it felt more real than whatever else I was doing in my life. And so that led me to kind of slowly start to orient myself towards exploring just consciousness, And so I was reading various religious texts from world religions and trying different practices. But, I didn't have a teacher or anything. So I was just trying meditation from a book or maybe going to some center. And it was very experimental, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And still very much, experimenting a lot, with psychedelics in that time. And a couple of things happened is one, I started to get more clarity on what it was I'd first experienced, which is not something that was brought on by a substance, but something that, the right kind of circumstances played out, and the, psychedelics being one of those circumstances to line up in a certain way so that I could have an opening to experience my own being.
Well, the psychedelic kind of played as a catalyst, right?
Yeah, it was a catalyst. And then also, reading the spiritual texts and other things, and just that slow kind of direction change also was a part of that catalyst. And I got to, just get an understanding that what I really wanted, like what I wanted more than anything, more than any external pleasure or to not feel suffering, even more than any of that, was something that was already inside my own being, right? It was just this eternal presence of love, which is who we really are. And that really kickstarted a long journey that I first got in contact with Ram Dass's books. Be Here Now was a big one for me and for, many people. I mean, this book really, truly crosses generations.
Talk about catalyst, right? Talk about catalyst.
Yeah, talk about it. This book that was written in the late 60s, still today, young people, people of any age are reading it, finding it for the first time, and it's opening something for them. Even if they don't know what it is, it's for many people, they see it and they read these words, and it at least opens up a possibility that there could be something else going on than we know.
May I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I sent, Be Here Now is still in print, like Sitaram Das just said. It's still in print since like 1970 or something like that. And I recently, maybe 6 months ago, sent that to a friend of mine in upstate New York who's never really read much about spirituality. And she was absorbed by the book. And I asked her opinion the other day, and she said, quote unquote, it's like organic food. I love that.
I like that too.
It was a text message, I thought that was pretty cool that she was, she felt that way about it. It's all she had to say. I understood, and that's how you felt. As many people, when they read Be Here Now, it is a catalyst. And I know a dozen people that have read that book and it took them on a similar journey that you're explaining.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, each of our journeys is so unique and individual, but when you start to read these different stories or talk to other people, there's something about it that it's so universal also. And especially for those of us that kind of found our doorway through that book, there's just something about it that really is universal, where we just read those words and it's just something about it just feels right and it just feels like home.
It does. It really does. And like you said, when you read these kind of sacred texts or holy words, it does lead, like one door opens, one closes, one opens. It really does just subconsciously lead you down a path that you're kind of looking for without even having to keep looking. And I guess since we are talking about the path of love, how would you define the path of love, or what is the path of love for those listening right now that are genuinely interested in what that is?
Yeah. So, it's referred to, well, the reason why, because you asked me like, hey, what do you want to talk about? I said the path of love. And I chose that word because this is universal, and the path of love exists. As far as I can tell, all religious traditions have this in it, all time periods, all peoples, they have different languages. So it is really this universal quality. But in India, which is the path that that really feels at home to me, is it's called Bhakti Yoga, which is the yoga of love and devotion towards God. And I know that that word God can be kind of triggering for a lot of people. So maybe just real quick, I could just define it in the way that that
Yeah.
I understand it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So like I said before, there's this place, in our own being that is this eternal presence of love. And when that gets awakened, one of the cool things we recognize is that that this presence that is my true nature is the true nature of everyone. And this means every single person listening right now, right? That who we think we are, like this bundle of thoughts and emotions and experiences and memories and our name and our social roles, this bundle of things that we often call the ego, who we think we are, isn't really who we are. We're something deeper than that. And this eternal presence of love, it also pervades everything. And that means that everything that we experience, including our thoughts and emotions and our social roles, are a manifestation of that. And what happens for many of us is when we realize this, this eternal presence of love that both creates everything and is our own being, which we could call God. What often happens, and what happened to me, is I just fell in love with it. And that falling in love with this, for many of us, this becomes our primary means of transportation on the path, right? We start to develop a relationship with the divine. So it's said that no matter what path we take, right, we all end up at the same place. And if we wanted to really simplify it, it's this place of truth and love. But for those of us where the heart gets awakened on the path, it's kind of like, well, if we know that the love is the goal, then why don't I make that the means to get there also? Like, why wait? So we practice love, like we practice loving, like through either devotional practices, like I right now, in order to put me in a place where I can be a little bit clearer, I'm sitting in front of my altar and I have, my picture of Neem Karoli Baba, who you've either talked about already or you're going to, and
I have, yes.
and I have my deities, and and I look at this, and it just opens my heart and allows that channel to open, right? And that's a practice, right? Hanging out with these holy beings is a practice. But then we can also practice it in the world with each other. You know, even the most triggering people, the people that we like the least, we can practice opening our heart to them, because it's only the mind that tells us that some people are worthier of our love and other people aren't. But the heart can just be open. To give a really beautiful example of this, Ram Dass has a practice on his puja table. He's been doing this back since before Reagan even, but he's kept it going. And on his puja table, he has all these beautiful beings, and Jesus and Maharaji and Hanuman and the Divine Mother, and then he always puts whatever the primary political figure is that he has the hardest time loving. And right now, he has a picture of Donald Trump on his altar. As an act of keeping his heart open, and that doesn't mean that it's condoning or liking. And there's this beautiful thing that Neem Karoli Baba used to often say, which is that do what you do with another person, but always keep your heart open. Meaning, we can even actively fight against things that people are doing that we feel like are causing suffering, and yet still keep our heart open to them.
Right.
And it's a really beautiful, delicate dance, and it's just really beautiful way to go through life. And it often gives us more energy and more vigor to do things like fight for justice and do our activist work or do our seva work or service. Because, man, being hateful and angry and all these things, I mean, it's okay to feel what we feel and we feel it, but when we hold on to those things, it's a drag, and it drags us down, and it does make us less effective. That's not the reason why we love, because it's said that we don't love to get something else. It's actually its own fruit. And that's, to me, that's the practice of Bhakti Yoga. And I learned it more than anyone just from being around Ram Dass and just seeing the way that he interacts with the world.
Yeah, and for those who might not know, Sitaram Das does caretaking work sometimes for Ram Dass, and that's really awesome. How did that come about? How did you get so close to Baba?
Yeah, I mean, the last time that I was back to visit and to do like actual caretaking was a while ago. But I lived on island with him in his house for a few years as his primary caretaker, and we only have so much more time, so I can't give the really long story of how that all came about. But as I was getting drawn in more to his books, I just felt this deep calling that really did just arise from the heart, that I just had to meet him. And it was completely irrational. There was no reason for it. Every once in a while in life, you just get these hits that you just got to follow. And it was one of those. And
Awesome.
once I made even the smallest step towards acting on it, all these things lined up, just beautiful miracles and synchronicities that lined up so that I could go and be in his presence. And, the first thing he said to me was, as I told him my story, and he said, well, no one comes in front of me unless Maharaji, another name for Neem Karoli Baba, sent them.
Wow.
And that's the world that he lives in. It's known as Guru Kripa, the grace of the Guru. And it's a really deep and intimate relationship where we recognize that this whole universe is God's Leela, is the dance. And we start to live in that way, as if everything that's happening is meant for our own evolution on the path. And he really lives that. And so it was Maharaji that brought me to Ram Dass, because Ram Dass brought me into that Leela view. And so that now really my practices are just, at this point, are just about constantly remembering that truth that my heart knows is true, that
so well said, man. I really want to say that Maharaji led me to you. His photo is also on my puja table, and I don't think there's any coincidence whatsoever that the radio show exists and that you're on it and that we're all connected in that way, and it goes back to Maharaji. There's no way it's anything but divine.
Absolutely. 100%. That's just it. And it's so beautiful because it's not about, like, I don't need to convince anyone of that, because it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not trying to get other people to like join my club or to prove that I'm right or whatever.
You're not knocking on doors.
Yeah, I'm not out there doing that. But it's just, this is the deepest truth I know. And when I get the opportunity, because often in the world we don't get to talk like this, right, with people. And so when we get these opportunities to be in satsang, right, where we're with other people on the path, and we just get to talk openly from the heart, it just feels so good. And what I have found, and it always blows my mind, is that when I do talk openly about my experiences, without any motivation being involved, often there'll just be someone listening who I won't know who it is, but sometimes this heart calling will erupt for someone, and they'll just feel this deep inspiration to maybe try and learn more about Ram Dass and his teachings, because I really fully believe that Ram Dass, like, he is a true American saint. Like, he lives in the state of love, and his words and his pictures and his teachings are a powerful vehicle for our transformation. And also Neem Karoli Baba, a true Siddha from India. Siddha is often translated as a perfected being. These are beings, that we can hang out with, these beings, and all the saints that you talk about every week on your show. These are all beings that if we feel this heart calling, we want to hang out with them a little bit more. Maybe it's just we get a little curious, we want to learn more about them or put their picture on our altar. We can start to build a relationship with them, and it can change our life. And,
wow. Yeah, so well said. If you're just tuning in, we are speaking with Sitaram Das. You are at KSKQ Radio. More specifically, you're listening to the Eartheart radio show. Sitaram Das is a teacher, a touring and recording kirtan artist, part-time caretaker for the beloved and legendary teacher Baba Ram Dass in Maui. Sitaram Das is a devotee of Neem Karoli Baba and a guy that I'm happy to call my friend. So yeah, thanks for being here. We only have a couple more minutes, my friend. Is there anything you'd like to end with as far as our continuation, talking about the path of love before I play one of your recorded songs?
Yeah, I guess. Give me. What does that mean? 2 minutes left?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I'll just real quick just end because it's always nice. I find often people would like some practice that they can do to if you feel inspired and you like what I'm saying right now and you want to learn more about it. The practice of kirtan is a really beautiful practice of chanting what are known as the holy names, and these are names of love, right? Different words for love. And it's said that by chanting them gradually but inevitably, we begin to inhabit our own heart more deeply. It's a way to, as I said, to remember, right? It's a way to bring that deep inner truth that our heart knows is true and to bring it to the surface so that we can constantly remember and to orient ourselves in that direction. And so I think that's what you're going to play is a song of me singing. And there's so many beautiful kirtanwalas that are now blossoming in the United States, and also tons of beautiful kirtanwalas in India and all throughout the world now. And it's a really beautiful practice for opening the heart.
Well, the album is called The Puja Room Recordings, which is Sitaram Das with Joel Polich and new song. And we're going to play track number 6, which is called Any Name You Want, which is a great example of what you're saying about the holy names. And there's so many of them. They're vast. And it's Any Name You Want. It's a great title.
Yeah, that is a fun one.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show today. It's been a lot of fun to have you on. If folks would like to reach you, how would they contact you, sir?
Yeah, the easiest way would be through my website, sitaramdas.com, and that's SITARAMDASS. And and I'm always around, every few months I do at least some small tour across, the West Coast, and I do come to Southern Oregon. So yeah, definitely hit me up. If you have any questions, if anyone has any questions about this, I'm always open. You can contact me through my website. I love answering people's questions and help point them in the right direction so they can get started on their path.
Now, real quick, I have to ask this now that it just came in my head. Didn't you do a short tour of prisons recently, doing kirtan in prisons?
Yeah. So 2 other dear brothers of mine, there also have been Ram Dass caregivers. And they also are kirtanwalas and sing and play instruments. And I got together with another dear brother who is a professional sound engineer that does live shows. And we orchestrated a whole West Coast tour that every single event was actually done on a by donation basis. We didn't turn anyone away. The idea was to make the practice as accessible as possible. And a big part of that was to also go into prisons, right? To even make even greater access, because that's probably the least accessible place to get these teachings.
Wow.
And so we went, one of the prisons we went to was in Oregon State Prison. We also went into San Quentin.
Wow.
And that's definitely something that's building, and we're planning to do some future events centered around those prison events also. And our band is called Kripa, and the website for our band is kripa.guru. And and if anyone feels inspired about that, everything we're doing is on a donation basis. And when we go in the prisons, it's obviously we're doing that for free. And so if anyone feels inspired, we could use donations for that. That money just goes into fueling to make those events happen. And it is a tax deductible because we're under the Call and Response Foundation, which is a really beautiful nonprofit that specifically does that. They send kirtanwalas into prisons.
Wow, that is such deep work and such great stuff, and it's awesome to see that Maharaji's the work is continuing, and to get into prison walls, that's really beautiful stuff, man. Thanks for all that you do, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man. And it's been really beautiful to also be able to call you as a friend and all of your seva that you're doing with this. You're truly spreading the teachings, and a radio format is a beautiful way to just make the teachings as accessible as possible. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you coming on today. My friends, you are listening to KSKQ. Sitaram Das is our guest. I'm Shankara Das with Eartheart Radio, and we're going to play a song in just a moment. Sitaram Das, thanks again, and keep in touch, okay?
Yep. Thank you. Ram Ram.
Blessings. Bye-bye. Yeah, see, I got through that. I didn't even have to have anyone help me hang up the phone. I did that myself. Isn't that cool? Locals Guide is proud to be an underwriter of KSKQ. Locals Guide is committed to community building through the creation of positive media. They offer a monthly magazine, mobile travel guides, and visitor information kiosks, which offer timely and accurate local information to people just like you all around the world. KSKQ thanks Locals Guide and listeners like you for supporting Community Radio.
Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, we give thanks to the beloved sages and blessed saints. You're listening to Eartheart Radio on KSKQ.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 Allahu. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 Allahu. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namo Namaha. Shivayo, Namo Namaha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 Allahu. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 Allahu. You can call it by any name you want. You can call him by any name you want. You can call her by any name you want. Praise the Lord. You can call it by any name you want. You can call him by any name you want. You can call her by any name you want. Praise the Lord. You can call it by any name you want. You can call him by any name you want. You can call her by any name you want. Praise the Lord.
What a beautiful tune, man. Sitaram Das with a song called Any Name You Want from the Puja Room Recordings album. Wow. I really like that a whole lot. Hopefully you got to hear our chat with Sitaram Das, or why am I saying our? Like I'm schizophrenic. I hope you heard my chat with Sitaram Das a few minutes ago, because it was quite a pleasure. At some point, it will be put up on the Eartheart Radio YouTube channel. You can actually subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is nonprofit. Eartheart is spelled kind of weird. The H in Earth and Heart is shared. So there's only one H, Earth, EART. It's all one word, Eartheart Radio on YouTube. I think last check we had maybe 30 subscribers. It's brand new. But the last two shows we did are up there now on the YouTube channel. So if you missed those, we had Vanessa Hauk on last week with our talk being about homelessness. And the very first show we did was with Tracy McLeod about lucid dreaming. We are spotlighting the saint known as Neem Karoli Baba today on Eartheart Radio. And I would like to read you some quotes attributed to Neem Karoli Baba. These are things he actually said that people wrote down because he didn't write books or things like that. But these are quotes I've collected by Neem Karoli Baba. A pure woman is better than 100 yogis. Women are more open to love God. Another quote. Meditate like Christ. He lost himself in love. Another quote. The whole universe is our home, and all residing in it belong to our family. Instead of trying to see God in a particular appearance, it is better to see him in everything. Another quote. The world is your attachment. You get worried because you are attached. Another quote by Maharaji, a.k.a. Neem Karoli Baba. Forgiveness is the greatest weapon, because a saint so armed is unperturbable. He can give up anger immediately. Imagine if we could give up anger immediately. We'd have it made, man. I'm still working on mine, I can tell you that much. More quotes by Neem Karoli Baba. All religions are the same. They all lead to God. God is everybody. The same blood flows through us, all. The arms, the legs, the heart are all the same. See no difference. See all the same. Another quote. It is very difficult to know exactly what good should come out of a particular situation. To attempt to manipulate circumstances so your idea of good can come about is to let the ego play God. And that, as you know, can and does backfire. Love that one. Another quote, "The best service you can do is to keep your thoughts on God. Keep God in mind every minute." And remember, when we say God here at Eartheart Radio, we do mean God and however you interpret God. We're not defining it here, okay? Another quote by Neem Karoli Baba, "See God in everyone. It is deception to teach by individual differences and karma." One more quote, and we'll come back to some more pretty soon. "The whole universe is our home, and all residing in it." I think I've already read that one. I don't want to repeat the same thing, do I? One more. "Even if a person hurts you, give him love. The worst punishment is to throw someone out of your heart. You should love everyone as God and love each other. If you cannot love each other, you cannot achieve your goal."
Please let go of your fear. Positive news is here. Things aren't as bad as it seems, no matter what they say. News with an agenda is meant to instill fear. True news can instill hope.
It's true, my friends. We are here to give you some positive news because we only have about 7 more minutes left of Eartheart Radio in number 3. So let's kick off the positive news with this. 40 years ago, the Canadian city of Sudbury was a blackened landscape that had been devastated by pollution from mining sites and industrialization. Now, thanks to decades of restoration and conservation work, the air quality is ranked as some of the best in all of Ontario. Not only that, the landscape has come alive with trees and greenery once more. Lakes that were once acidified and destitute have become thriving ecosystems. The transformation of Sudbury has become such a positive example of environmental restoration that Laurentian University launched an entire course based on its revolutionary recovery back in March. And it will now help future college students apply its lessons to other polluted landscapes around the world. In more positive news, I'm Paul Harvey. No. In order to combat senior loneliness, isolation, and dementia, the government in Seoul, South Korea, has funded daytime dance parties at disco clubs. Yep. In South Korea, they currently have the fastest aging population of any developed nation in the world. This isn't the first time that nightclubs have been used to combat senior loneliness, and one South Korean gentleman told the BBC that he has had bad back and legs, but when the music comes on, my body is immersed in it and all my pain disappears, he says. I'm full of energy for 2 or 3 days after this. So they're dancing up a storm over in South Korea. They say a body in motion tends to stay in motion. If you're hearing this, you have to think positive, man. If you're hearing this show right now, just think, you have the ability to hear. You have the freedom to tune in to listen to KSKQ and the Eartheart Radio Show. You're supporting community and free speech radio. If you're hearing this, you were brought here by a power much bigger than me, much bigger than you, and much bigger than these Oregon mountains that surround me. You have a heart beating in your chest. If you're hearing this, smile because you can. On to more positive news. Dozens of people rallied together to rescue an elephant trapped in a 20-foot well. The massive rescue effort took place last week in western Bengal after the elephant strayed out of the Bishnupar jungle and into the well. The team used a crane to hoist the animal out of the well and onto the back of a truck so it could be taken to an examining room for evaluation for injuries. The elephant was kept under close supervision for a few days, and it was successfully released back into the wild. A little boy whose doctors confined him to his bedroom for 3 months has learned that, quote, all the world is a stage just outside his window. Yep, the 3-year-old, known as Quinn Waters, was under doctor's orders to stay away from people. His body's immune system was temporarily wiped out because of a life-saving stem cell treatment to kill cancer. But while the boy was recovering, people started showing up to play with him outside his bedroom window. And then the neighbors started appearing on the lawn. Then there was dancers, acoustic concerts, and a circus show. They even organized a dog parade. Hundreds of people rallied to keep this boy occupied. He was even surprised by the Irish punk rock band, the Dropkick Murphys, when they arrived at his window to sing some of their most famous songs. Pretty darn cool, man. The boy, instead of looking at a computer all day long, was getting a daily jolt of happiness from the real world. Quinn's father told his local news that, quote unquote, it's the positive energy from all these people that we believe has gotten him through his sickness. You can never repay this. Beautiful. The moral of the story is be the angel, the helper, the neighbor, and the protector of the children. One more story for you guys. Back in 1999, an intersection in Oakland, California was rife with trash and criminal activity, but the area has been transformed thanks to one little statue. Dan Stevenson, an Oakland resident, made countless calls to the Public Works Department, and he grew sick of the litter and the drug dealing, the public urination and the graffiti, and all the junk, mattresses, and tables being, thrown on the streets. Well, despite not being a spiritual person, Dan attached a 2-foot-high statue of Buddha to a rock in the median strip of the intersection. He hoped it would, have a spiritual influence to shift the energy of the neighborhood. Well, what happened in the years afterward was nothing short of stunning. Fewer and fewer drug deals, less trash, and small gifts start appearing around the statue. And to this day, crime has dropped, I think it's 82% in the area. When several local Vietnamese residents were informed of the statue's presence, they took it upon themselves to build a shrine around the Buddha, and they use it for regular prayer sessions. And not only has the shrine served as a community space for both religious and non-religious neighbors, it's also a dramatic effect on crime rate. Again, it was 82% that it fell over 5 years. Though the Buddha of Oakland has been vandalized a few times over the course of the last decade, the locals have never failed to build it back again, bigger and more beautiful than before. Om Mani Padme Hum. You're at KSKQ Radio in the Church of Rock. Oh, Eartheart Radio, I'm sorry.
Please let go of your...
Oh, my friends, I'm sorry. I'm hitting the wrong buttons and everything else. But you know what? That's okay. I'm glad to have you here. I am Shankara, and I guess I got through most of the hour with very few mistakes. So I think what I'm going to do is end the show with a couple of more quotes from Neem Karoli Baba. And thanks again for listening. Next week, Gene Burnett will be on the show. We'll be discussing Tai Chi and other things. And Gene will also be performing music with his acoustic guitar. And he's a quite talented guy. So we'll hear some music and words of wisdom from Gene Burnett next week on the show. And I hope you'll join me at 2 p.m. I am Shankara. And just a couple of more quotes from the saint known as Neem Karoli Baba. Quote, "Total truth is necessary. You must live by what you say." Another quote, "See all women as mothers. Serve them as your mother. When you see the entire world as the mother, the ego falls away." Another one. "If you want to see God, kill desires. Desires are in the mind. When you have a desire for something, don't act on it and it will go away. If you desire to drink this cup of tea, don't, and the desire for it will go away." Another quote, "Everything is impermanent except for the love of God." And on that quote, I will go ahead and say thank you so much for being here. Shankara Das signing off, and I hope you have a really awesome rest of the day. The show known as Peace Talks is up next, and I'll be back next Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific time for more Eartheart Radio, and much love to every single one of you guys, and thanks for being here. Om Namah Shivaya.
You've been listening to Eartheart Radio with your host, Shankara Das. Eartheart Radio is produced by Shankara Das in association with Sister Tracy and Krishna Consciousness. Please tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for more Eartheart Radio.